Hello, BookTube. It's time for another essay. I thought I'd read one by Umberto Eco. Umberto Eco. I'm not sure the full pronunciation, but it's from his book How to Travel with a Salmon and Other Essays. It was published in 1994 by Secker and Warburg, translated from the Italian by William Weaver. The essay I am going to read was published in 1981. Don't believe he says where it first appeared. It's called How to Organize a Public Library. It's quite short, and it's basically a list of things. So let's start. 1. The various catalogs must be housed as far apart as possible from one another. All care must be taken to separate the catalog of books from that of periodicals, and these two from the catalog by subject. Similarly, the recent acquisitions must be kept well away from older collections. If possible, the spelling in the two catalogs, recent acquisitions and older collections, must be different. In the recent acquisitions, for example, pajama should be spelt with an A, and the older, pajama, with a Y. Tchaikovsky in recent acquisitions will follow the Library of Congress system. In the older catalog, the name will be spelt in the old-fashioned way with TCH. Number 2, the subjects must be determined by the librarian. On their copyright pages, the books must bear no indication of the subjects under which they are to be listed. Number 3, call numbers should be impossible to decipher and, if possible, very complex, so that anyone filling out a call slip will never have room to include the last line of numbers and will assume they are irrelevant. Then the desk attendant will hand the slip back to him with the admonition to fill it out correctly. Number 4, the time between request and delivery must be as long as possible. Number 5, only one book should be released at a time. Number 6, the books distributed by the attendant after the request form has been properly submitted cannot be taken into the reference room. So the scholars must divide their working life into two fundamental aspects: reading on the one hand and reference consultation on the other. The library must discourage, as conductive to strabismus, any crossover tendencies or attempts at the simultaneous reading of several books. Number 7, insofar as possible, no photocopier should be available. If such a machine does exist, access to it must be made very time-consuming and toilsome. Fees should be higher than those in any neighborhood copy shop, and the maximum number of copied pages permitted should not exceed 2 or 3. Number 8, the librarian must consider the reader as an enemy, a waster of time. Otherwise, he or she would be at work and a potential thief. Number 9, the reference librarian's office must be impregnable. Number 10, loans must be discouraged. 11, interlibrary loans must be impossible, or at least must require months. The idea, of course, in any event, is to ensure the impossibility of discovering the contents of other libraries. 12, given this policy, theft must be very easy. 13, opening hours must coincide precisely with local office hours determined by foresighted discussions with the trade union officials in the Chamber of Commerce. Total closing on Sunday, Saturday, evenings, and mealtimes goes without saying. The library's worst enemy is the employed student. Its best friend is Thomas Jefferson, someone who has a large personal library and therefore no need to visit the public library, to which he may nevertheless bequeath his books at his death. Number 14, it must be impossible to find any refreshment inside the library, under any circumstances. And it must also be impossible to leave the library to seek sustenance elsewhere without first returning all books in use, so that after having a cup of coffee, the student must fill out requests for them again. Number 15, it must be impossible on a given day to find the book one had been using the day before. Number 16, it must be impossible to learn who has the book that is currently out on loan. 17, if possible, no restrooms. Number 18, Ideally, the reader should be unable to enter the library. If he does actually enter, exploiting with tedious insistence a right granted on the basis of the principles of 1789 that has nevertheless not been assimilated by the collective sensibility, he must never ever, with the exception of rapid visits to the reference shelves, be allowed access to the sanctum of the stacks. And then he's got a confidential note at the bottom here. All staff must be affected by physical defects. It is the duty of the public institution to offer job opportunities to handicapped citizens. The fire department is considering an extension of this rule to their ranks. In particular, the ideal librarian should be limp in order to lengthen the time devoted to receiving the call slip, descending into the basement, and returning. For personnel expected to use ladders to reach the shelves more than 8 meters above the ground, it is required that missing arms be replaced by prosthetic hooks for security reasons. Personnel lacking both upper arms will deliver the requisite volume by gripping it in their teeth. Library regulations tend to prevent the delivery of volumes in a format larger than octavo. And that ends. So I thought that was quite funny in many ways. But yeah, that is How to Organize a Public Library from Umberto Eco, from his How to Travel with a Salmon and other essays. They're all pretty short, but they vary what they're about. There's sort of how to travel with salmon, obviously, title essay, how to replace a driver's license, how to eat in flight, and so on. But I hope you enjoyed that. It was a short one, and take care, BookTube. I shall be returned with another one. Bye.